Thank you, Prime Minister. I would like to invite Ms. Wendy Greth-Sapia, the granddaughter of war hero and Victoria Cross recipient John Robert Osborne, to come to the podium to tell her grandfather's story.
I'd like to say that my brother and I are truly honored to be here in Hong Kong today. And as you have heard, our mother unfortunately took a medical emergency that has prevented her. However, she was quite insistent that my brother and I attend and not remain with her at the hospital. Therefore, we are here. So, I'm letting you know I am speaking from her notes that she had prepared for this speech. First of all, honored Prime Minister and Consulate and all guests, thank you for inviting us to come here. This is our first trip to Hong Kong, where we finally can see where our grandfather had fought and has been so wonderfully commemorated. My mother wanted to say a couple words about my grandfather, a little bit of his history. So if you can indulge me, I will impart some of this message. My grandfather, who was born in 1899, at a very young age, was considered an old soldier. Even as a boy, he had the discipline and the strong commitment of right and wrong that he had earned this nickname. And at the age of 15, he decided he was going to enlist in World War I. Of course, that was too young, and when his father caught him at the enlisting station, he marched him home. But undetermined, a couple weeks later, my grandfather borrowed his older brother's ID and once again successfully enlisted. He went on to serve in Jutland with, I believe it was the 1st Hawks Royal Navy, and he fought there, and he actually, even though he wasn't recognized, had saved an officer, hauling him back to the safety of the trenches, and he was never recognized for that. He was captured and put into a prisoner of war camp, but because of his indignation of how the prisoner of wars were being treated, he decided he had had enough. And after 10 days, much to the delight of the old soldiers that were there with him, he escaped. He returned to his outfit and unfortunately was hit by a volley of mustard gas, which of course for the rest of his life would affect his health because of the damage that was done to his lungs. It was for this reason that he had moved to Canada to a drier climate. He moved to Canada in the 1920s. He worked with the Canadian National Railroad. He farmed. And an interesting story is how my grandmother met him. She was walking down a country road and she noticed a house on fire, a farmhouse. And as she hurried to assist the family who was undergoing this tragedy, she noticed a young man was rushing into the house and bringing out the people and their belongings. And of course, that was my grandfather. She was immediately in love. And although she was Irish and he was British, and their families would not approve the marriage, 6 months later, they eloped. In conclusion, my mom wanted to say that she is so happy that August 15th of this year in Ottawa, there was finally a commemorative plaque honoring the Hong Kong soldiers and, I believe, the medical and everyone else who struggled. And she also would like to say that not only would she like to thank the people and the soldiers and the veterans of Canada, but all the Commonwealth that served in Hong Kong at that time, and especially the Hong Kong people who also suffered such atrocities during the 1941, during the occupation. And so with that, I will conclude my speech, and thank you very much for your attendance.
will now proceed with the laying of the wreaths. Nous allons maintenant procéder au dépôt des couronnes. The Right Honourable Stephen Harper, Prime Minister of Canada, on behalf of the people of Canada and Mrs. Harper. Wendy Greth Sapia and T.A. James Osborne, in memory of Company Sergeant Major John Robert Osborne. Permanent Secretary Carrie Yao, on behalf of the government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Deputy Commissioner Gao Yu Chen, on behalf of the Office of the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region.